how unbelievably precarious all of this is, how, Hamas isn't just one entity, all sorts of different, as she described them, chieftains. We had a professor from King's College London on the other day saying something very similar, all different sort of offshoots and different kind of ideological standpoints in Hamas. So not just one organ to negotiate with, and we don't know, nobody knows exactly where the hostages are or quite which Palestinian prisoners Hamas are going to demand to have back. There's an awful lot for Qatar to iron out by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, which was the time when it was hoped that, the cessation in hostilities would start.
Absolutely. And I've lost count in previous kidnapping cases where just because we get an agreement, things haven't always gone according to plan. And so I've stressed throughout this, caution needs to be applied here. An agreement is not the same as the safe and the timely release and recovery of the hostages. Things can still go wrong. This is the most dangerous, fragile moment in a hostage negotiation. And whilst it's a welcome step, and let's hope it does work out, we're not there yet. And until that first batch, the first 10 or 12 hostages are safely back with the International Red Cross and back over the border in Israel, we won't know if this has worked.
So what should be going on behind the scenes? Obviously, you're a veteran of these incredibly delicate procedures and manoeuvres. What ought to be happening? Obviously, softly, we get that. But what else to kind of get to the part where you do make this wish a reality?
It's attention to detail. It may sound quite basic, but the sequencing, the logistic, the practical steps where everybody knows exactly what is going to happen, when it's going to happen, in the order it's going to happen, so there are no inadvertent mistakes, because all you need is one faction to do something that the other side is not expecting. And both sides have still got their fingers on the trigger here. And there'll be some in both sides who will look for any excuse to breach this ceasefire.
And so, I mean, the Qataris are at the centre of this, and they have form, don't they, on negotiating this kind of thing successfully?
Absolutely. Qatar and Egypt, to a certain degree here as well, have played a key mediating role in a very sensitive, fragile process. And you're right, as you say, Vanessa, they've got experience of negotiating with other groups and organizations around the world where other governments cannot be seen or unwilling to have those direct negotiations.
We also hear, don't we, that President Biden was on the phone largely to Benjamin Netanyahu all weekend. We heard he was on the phone for hours and hours and hours in separate phone calls, trying to do what was necessary to do to bring about this state of affairs, this pause in the fighting.
Yeah, I mean, the US have a significant influence and presence in the region. I mean, they have the largest military base in the region in Qatar. And the US are very closely aligned with Israeli politics. And so it's understandable why the president of the US would be having these kind of conversations with Israel.